Well, it's a brand new day. It's an early morning here in Bengaluru, and we're all set to make our way around the beautiful coffee growing region of Kodagu for our Friends of the Farmer season 2025. We're really looking forward to meeting some interesting farmers and go through some of the work they're doing with processing, harvesting, planting techniques. It's going to be an exciting next 4 days, and we look forward to having you along with us on this journey. Our day one began in the humid and lush landscapes of Kodagu. I just arrived when Tej joined me right on time, and with that, our journey began. When we started Friends of the Farmer, we didn't imagine it would take us here, a winding road through Coorg, with a mist curling around the trees and the road opening into something that felt like a memory waiting to be lived. Tej and I were on our way to Poomale Estate, our very first estate this season. A place we had only heard stories of, and now it was time to walk through it ourselves. As we pulled in, the quiet greeted us. Then came the Bridgeton bungalow, standing quietly wrapped in age and stories. Hey everyone, welcome to Poomale Estate. We are in the southwestern part of Coorg, pretty close to the birthplace of the river Kaveri. Talakaveri?
Talakaveri, that's right. So we are at the Friends and Farmer Series 2, and this is the first farm we are heading to is Poomale Estate. So where is Poomale Estate?
Also called the Be Wild Coffee Farm.
Yes, that's right.
And we're looking forward to spending almost the entire day here. And we're going to meet Nishan Chengappa, who is managing this estate, and will also take us through all the processes and interesting stuff that we're doing here.
Hi, how are you?
Thanks for having us over.
Thanks for coming to Poomale.
Thanks for having us.
It's Blighton Bungalow.
Blighton Bungalow.
Yeah, it's a hospitality.
Why is it called Blighton Bungalow?
There is a book written on it in one of the abandoned estate, abandoned bungalow. It's, this property is named after that. Yeah.
We sat down, talked, and enjoyed some unbelievably delicious estate food. And then Nishant showed us the Poomale 1.0 collective plan. As he spoke, you could hear the stream running just behind us, like nature agreeing with everything that he was saying. It wasn't just a plan, it was a philosophy and a way to live with the land, not just farm it. Later, we walked over to the Goshala. The cattle roam around freely, lazily, living a soft life. He asked me if I wanted to name one, and well, the coffee nerd in me said cappuccino. She was such a cutie and somehow just fit. Then came one of my favorite corners of the estate, a quiet 1 acre patch where permaculture just shaped every curve and contour. So this is the permaculture block that we are getting into. And Nishan was explained to us about the forest floor and how it acts as an interface between the vegetative growth above and the soil below. And there's a certain structure to the kind of flow of water that happens here. So we're just going to get inside and take a look. Everything mimics how a forest takes care of itself. No irrigation, no daily intervention, just design and trust in nature's way. So this system basically replicates the way the forest takes care of itself, and here the plants are allowed to take care of themselves. There is no need for irrigation with this kind of system. There's this trench here where water collects and permeates through the bottom part of the trench into the soil, as well as microbes are introduced here, and these microbes sort of eat the foliage or whatever these things are. Yeah,
moisture.
Yeah, this is still, and it's quite hot and dry today, but this is still very moist and amazing. Look around, and it quietly reveals itself. Poomale isn't just another coffee farm. It's a canvas, a collaboration between land and people, between soil and soul. This is where the Be Wild Millionaire Collective blooms. So we've been here for almost a day, and I can tell you that this is not just another coffee farm. It is a beautiful coffee farm, but it's also a place, a space for collaboration with the land to create beautiful stuff, a space where nature is at work. This is the Be Wild
Wilderness Collective.
Yeah, the Be Wild Wilderness Collective. They seem to have perfected the art. From there, we walked straight to the coffee processing unit. So now we're here where all the coffee that's collected from all the 300 acres of this farm is come and brought here. It's weighed, and then even though this is selective picking, we're still able to find a few greens and a few floaters that are there. Those are being taken off. And the nice, beautiful, ripe cherries are going to be processed. There are a couple of methods which they employ for processing. Of course, one is just natural, raised on drying beds. there's something happening there. But today what we're going to do is we're going to do some anaerobic processing, which is fermentation without the presence of oxygen. And we're going to do that right inside there. So we know that natural processed coffee basically means that coffee cherries that have been just harvested are put out in the sun to dry, and that gives it a really nice fruity sort of a flavor to the coffee. But the problem with leaving it out in the sun completely is that it could be too extreme, too harsh, and the top layer of the coffee cherries can dry faster than the bottom layer. So here there's a method of making that drying a little more even, a little less harsh. So you have this drying in a covered area. And this is a really warm room. The coffee is placed, the coffee cherries that you saw, which are nice and bright red, are placed on these raised beds. So there's nice circulation of air. It's not under the direct sun, but it's really warm inside here. I wish you could feel it. And so this dries evenly over a period of time. Therefore, seeing that, and as you can see, there's not too thick a layer of coffee as well. So the drying is very even. You don't get off notes because of mold or some sort of fungus, nor do you get uneven notes because the top layer dries faster than the lower layer, etc. So yeah, this is a nice even drying of the coffee cherry.
So this is a 3-tier drying system where you have the wet coffee coming to the first tier. Then you have the second tier after a certain 50% of drying of coffee. And then the final stage of drying actually happens on the top tier. So this is called a 3-tier system of drying, which is very brilliant to keep the boldness of the flavor of coffee. And here we see what Nishant's done, a brilliant work to see. You've got nice flavor of banana, you can get that Cavendish aroma right when you actually smell. Don't you think, Nishant, isn't that what you intended to do?
Yeah, it's anaerobic for 180 hours.
180 hours of anaerobic fermentation, is it? Coffee which is grown, processed, the way how nature is meant to be. There's no chemicals, there's no shortcuts. Absolutely how nature wants to showcase.
We're now inside the coffee processing unit, and at Poomale they're currently doing a big batch of anaerobic fermentation coffee, which basically means they take the ripe cherries, put it in these bags here, and completely make them airtight and let them ferment for about 180 hours.
8 to 10 days.
Yeah, 8 to 10 days is what the fermentation process is. We're opening one today after 10 days, and it should ideally have a very beautiful, slightly winey, but a very sweet fragrance when you open the pack. And this will, of course, after a while, it will be dried out in those beds that we saw earlier, and then it will be hulled and then processed. So we're opening this one, and as you can see, there are quite a few batches of this, and so come and take a look here. So a lot of the bright colors of the coffee are gone because obviously there's some amount of oxidation that has happened, but it's got a very beautiful fruity fragrance, and oh yeah, it's very sweet. It almost looks like it's been soaked in sugar syrup. It's really sweet fragrance. It's almost like you feel like tasting a couple of cherries, but this is the anaerobic process, and this is the one that's going to be on our website. Very proud to roast this coffee for Poomale. And then a long trek right into the heart of the forest where Swati brewed us a fresh cup of coffee. So we are now here with Swati from Be Wild. We're literally in the middle of a forest. I actually don't know how we landed here, but it's a beautiful place, and Swati is going to brew some coffee for us. Swati, what coffees are you going to brew for us?
So today we have naturals medium roast.
Okay.
And we also have a fermented coffee.
Fermented is a frozen cherry.
Yeah, frozen cherry.
So the naturals are similar to the ones that we saw there back there at the drying, in that little drying chamber. It's just cherries that have been put out to dry, sun-dried cherries. And do we need to wash this?
Yes.
Hot water? Okay. I asked her what to expect as taste notes, and she said dry figs, cacao, dates, and pecan. And it was all there. Soft, sweet, utterly comforting. We sat under the trees, sipping slowly. And that's it for day one from Friends of the Farmer Season 2, 2025. Tej, what was your best part of the day?
Best part of the day was, I think, I cannot really pinpoint on one particular, because the kind of things that we've done, starting from the brewing, which we finally did it, and then the processing, the permaculture, the goshala.
Yeah.
It was just
The end of day one of our Friends of the Farmer 2025, and we are right here in the middle of a jungle sipping some beautiful coffee. This is anaerobic processed coffee, and that's it for today. Hoping to have an even more better day tomorrow. See you guys.
Happy brewing.
There are a few moments in life when your heart quietly whispers, this is where you were meant to be. For us, this was a once surreal and almost magical place. The first whiff of the air at Mooleh Manay Estate wasn't just air, it was coffee in its earliest, rawest, most alive form.
Hi.
Hey, Tej, how are you?
Hi.
Hey, Ashish.
Hey Tej.
How are you?
Good.
Having us. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. So, this is the place.
Yes. So this is where we do all the work at South India Coffee Co. This is Mooleh Manay Estate.
And South India Coffee Co. also works with other estates within the family.
Yes, that's right. So we work with around 30 different estates across India.
Right.
And the idea of South India Coffee Co. is to essentially showcase excellent Indian coffee across the globe.
Akshay and Komal greeted us like long-lost cousins, except instead of small talk, we dove headfirst into microbes, fermentation curves, and why Robusta deserves more love. I was grinning the whole time. These weren't just farmers, they were explorers, working with Arabica, Robusta, Excelsior, treating each one not as a product but as a personality with its own story.
Yes, that's right. Yes, all the experiments, all the processing happens here. Like you can see, we've got a whole line of drums here which we are pressurizing, and all the coffee. So at Mooleh Manay we kind of process a lot of naturals, a little bit of honeys. This here, what you can see is our drum setups where we are fermenting the coffees here. You can see.
What kind of fermentation do you call these?
So we would call this, right now they are pressurized, so we would call it carbonic macerated.
Carbonic macerated.
Yeah.
So, and is that why these lids are slightly out of shape because of the...
Yeah, they've gone through an entire season of stress, so
Nice.
they're giving way now, yeah?
And this is a very innovative and unique way to create a low-cost way of creating.
Yeah, so essentially, see, there's different... So carbonic maceration is taken from the wine industry, right? And essentially you have a pressure-tight container, you pump in CO2 for the fermentation. Here, although we can pump in CO2, we are not, because it increases the cost. Yeah, exactly. In the fermentation, CO2 is going to get generated, it gets pressurized, and eventually when the pressure hits 0.2 bar on these, the pressure relief valve opens, lets out whatever is on top, and then as this goes on, let's say after the first day, you have complete CO2. So it's CO2 under pressure, therefore carbonic maceration.
I'll never forget the moment they opened one of the pressurized tanks. So when we look at this particular drum here, and this is a very interesting little mechanism that is used to tilt. So when you're taking off the contents, it's a lot easier. But with this particular drum, you can see that the fermentation is really active. We've got a nice puffy lid here, and I'm just going to try and sneak a peek and try and get a whiff of the aroma that's there. This is basically carbon dioxide, but with a lot of nice fruitiness to it. And I don't know if you can hear that. Smells divine. Smells like it's like walking to a coffee farm while processing is being happening. Harvesting and processing. It's really nice and fruity, and that's all carbon dioxide right there. So Komal, again, as a lay person drinking coffee, you hear about, oh, this is washed coffee and this is a natural processed coffee, or this is honey. So can you just tell us what are the very basic types of processing that have been employed in India over the years?
So Ashish, most of the coffees in India are washed coffees.
Right. Yeah.
The second process, like we spoke about, is the honeys.
Right.
And then there's naturals.
Right.
In all these processes, you can decide on how complex you want to make the cup,
Right.
how complex you want to make the processing as well.
Right.
Because now you have access to yeast, you have access to fermentation drums. These are all different things that you can do just to make your cup more complex, or depending on what you want to bring out of the cup, you can decide on your fermentation.
Yeah. But simply put, washed means?
Simply put, washed means remove your skin, remove the skin of the fruit, remove the mucilage, wash the mucilage, and dry it on the patio.
And then you have the green bean.
And then you have parchment.
Parchment.
And then you remove the parchment layer, and then you have the green.
Yeah. Natural, simply put, means
You harvest the fruit.
Yeah.
You dry it on the drying beds or your
Raised.
patio, and then it goes to the dry mill where you remove the skin. Again, the skin is
Harvested.
removed, husk is removed,
Yeah.
and you have the green bean.
Right. And honey sun-dried or honey coffee.
Is when you remove the skin and you have the mucilage on, and
Right.
that mucilage is with the mucilage you dry
Right.
it on the patios or the
Right.
drying beds,
And then you remove the parchment and
and then you remove the parchment, and then
come to the green.
come to the green bean.
Perfect. Every inch of Mooleh Manay feels alive with thought. Sensors in the ground tracking data, rare Indian coffee species planted like poems. Is farming, yes, but it's also art and research and rebellion. So on the second day of our Friends of the Farmer ride around Coorg, we're at the South India Coffee Co. And we are with Akshay and Komal. And we are in their farm. And Akshay and Komal, tell us a little more about yourselves and this farm.
So, yeah, my name is Komal, and Akshay and me run South India Coffee Co.
Right.
We are a...
Lies.
What?
Only you run it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I do run it. We basically are on a mission to put Indian coffee on the map.
Right.
We're doing the entire supply chain, so we work with producers very closely. One of the farms that we work with is Mooleh Manay,
Right.
and we work with 30 other coffee producers.
And that's where we are right now at Mooleh.
Mooleh
Yes.
Manay.
So we work with around 30 other coffee producers, and we sell green coffee to different parts of the world.
Right.
We have offices in the UK and the US
Right.
where we sell directly to roasters, and we have import partners in different parts of the world as well.
Why did you start what you're doing currently?
Good question.
Yeah.
So I really started when I was in London, and I didn't see any Indian coffee there. And we were in the heart of, East London, where
Okay.
we would see a lot of different origins, and the third wave coffee, the third wave boom was just starting, and people were talking about traceability and where the coffee was coming from. And I wanted to showcase Indian coffee in London. So that's where
Fantastic.
we really started.
And the real reason that you didn't you started with coffee, not with the wine, is because you don't have a vineyard here.
True. Yeah.
Komal brewed a freshly roasted Arabica, carbonic macerated and packed with fruity notes. The recipe was simple, but the flavor was complex, beautifully complex. This is the kind of coffee that tells a story in every sip. Mooleh Manay is not just making better coffee, they're making Indian coffee matter in a way the world hasn't seen yet. Then the road twisted, the trees thickened, and it felt like we'd slipped into a quieter world. So this is day 3 of our Friends of the Farmer Ride 2025, and we're here at Coorg Estate run by Bharat. And Bharat is an old hand at regenerative farming, organic farming, and he's got some pretty interesting experimental batches that he's doing this year. Hi Bharat.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Hi.
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 How are you?
Good to see you. Did you all have a good ride?
Yeah, we did. It was a lovely ride.
Yeah.
This is Coorg.
Yes. So shall we go and see the crossing?
So you're going to take you to the processing center?
Yeah.
Coorg Estate is run by Bharat, a 4th generation farmer, soft-spoken guardian of the soil and slowness. At Coorg, the focus shifts from fermentation tanks to the forest floor. The story here starts underground. Cover crops, native weeds, zero tilling, everything is done with reverence for the microbes that make coffee possible long before a single bean appears.
So we are now at the place where all the action happens. This is where the processing happens of coffee. But this is also the granary where Bharat stores a lot of the paddy that they produce on this farm.
It's a kind of a container. It's a wooden container.
Right.
So which basically keeps the moisture
Away.
Controls the moisture in the paddy.
Right.
Stored.
Right.
And it's a very old system which is still being used.
So these are those larger doors. Wow. Yeah, it looks like one of those.
And then it's doors.
Those are those single doors. Remember the vertical doors?
Yeah.
You had those wooden. These are the horizontal ones.
Okay.
And then
So you keep filling and then go up.
Oh.
They used to, those days of course paddy cultivation was huge, so they fill the whole thing, the whole box would be full. and when they need it to remove, there's a bit there below where the grain would flow out.
So, like we do know, there are largely three kinds of processing that coffee can undergo. One is natural processed, which is with the whole cherry. One is washed, and the other is honey sun-dried. This is a natural processed coffee, but Bharat, can you tell us what's special about this natural processed coffee?
So traditionally, when you're drying coffee, it's out in the drying yard, it's there out in the sun. This particular coffee is not exposed to the sun, and it's just shade dried slowly, and it takes twice the amount of time, which basically allows all the flavors to be absorbed very slowly into the coffee. As opposed to when you dry very fast, those flavors don't have the time to be absorbed into the coffee.
What is the timeline that you normally like?
So these
regular
take
sun-dried.
So what would traditionally be 10 days, this is now 20 days. So it's nearly double the time. And
slow cooking.
yes, it's very, very slow simmer basically. And that allows all the flavors to be there. So if you can smell the coffee, you get a whole bunch of fruity notes. There's a little bit of tamarind, there's a little bit of Teju's getting a little bit of banana, those kind of flavors, and it makes it very interesting.
And the more time we spent walking Craigmore, the more I understand that this estate wasn't a reaction to climate change. It was a lesson in what it meant to coexist. As we left, what stayed with us was this. Regeneration isn't something you do to the land. It's something you learn from it. Leaving behind the grounded serenity of Craigmore, we ventured into a landscape more untamed, more enchanted, and found ourselves at Anekaadu Estate.
So it's day 3 of our Friends of the Farmer ride, 2025, and we are now today at the farm of Nisha and Kurian. It's called Anekaadu Estate.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is Nisha, this is Kurian, and Nisha has done some interesting work. Nisha, incidentally, is also a mushroom farmer. Is that the correct word? Technically?
Yes.
Correct term. So Nisha is also a mushroom farmer, and she's doing some pretty interesting things with mold as well. So today we are going to get into the farm. We're going to pick a few cherries, harvest few coffee cherries, and then we're going to do some sort of a process that's similar to koji fermentation. So we're going to use some mold that Nisha has kept for us, and then we're going to inoculate a batch of coffee cherries, and we're going to do a kind of koji fermentation. Right, Nisha?
Yes, that's right.
Brought to life by Nisha and Kurian, this place felt like a scene from a novel. Their dog Bella led the way like she owned the land, which in many ways she probably did.
So we're starting the day with some coffee picking, like I said, but I see a lot of coffee cherry here, and but I'm with 3 farmers. So Kurian, can you tell us which is the right cherry to pick, which is perfect for harvesting, and why?
So at this time of the year, a lot of the trees have already ripened, but if you look at this one here, you still have a lot which are, still green cherries, which are probably not the best to pick. Especially when we do a specialty coffee, we make sure we go only for the ripe, really red ones. And these are okay, but you put the other, those ones are all much better than this. So
this is a nice deep red.
Yes.
This is a good one?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
You might even find a little more dark purplish red,
Right.
which is even better. So these are good.
So let's go ahead and pick some.
Yes.
So while we're doing this, let me also very briefly explain what koji fermentation is. It's basically the mold that is used to break down the complex starches in a coffee cherry into simpler sugars, and then the fermentation starts from there. That's right, Nisha? Yeah, so and then the fermentation starts from a less complex starch, which is more digestible sugars for the agents of fermentation, and that gives rise to some really interesting flavors, a lot more body because of the glutamates that are produced due to koji fermentation and the amino acids. So now what we're going to do today is sort of create a different process. I think Nisha has worked on something else where instead of koji, we're using another similar mold to ferment this coffee. Looking forward.
Kurian managed the estate, steady and calm, giving Nisha the space to play, to invent, to reimagine coffee with the confidence of someone who's never afraid to fail. Watching her mix spores into cherries, explaining fermentation like a poem with pH monitors, I felt like I was witnessing the future. Here, Coffee is part lab and part love affair, and even the failures are just data.
So when do you think we could get to taste the coffee? Just so excited to taste the coffee.
It'll be a wait. We need to finish the process, curing works, maybe a couple of months, and then you'll have your coffee.
Fantastic. Looking forward to it, Nisha. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a fabulous day at Anekaadu Estate with Nisha and Kurin. We started with a great breakfast and then we did some nice cherry picking. We did some very interesting experimental fermentation lots, and we're looking forward to tasting that soon, Nisha. And that's it, guys. We're heading off to our next destination. See you all. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Our 4 days of the Friends of the Farmer Ride 2025 has finally come to an end. It's been an exciting 4 days visiting some really diverse farms, looking at some really amazing processing methods, some harvesting and cultivating methods, some great food, some lovely, beautiful rides along the way. Tej, your highlight for these 4 days?
For me, it was starting off with the Western Ghats, right at the helm of the Western Ghats, and seeing all the untouched, unexplored area of Coorg, being in Coorg, and the way it's there's crossover between different microorganisms, living in harmony with animals, and then right at the birthplace of River Kaveri, and there were so many rivulets that we crossed by. These were just mind-boggling for me. Yeah.
Beautiful 4 days. We've enjoyed ourselves. We hope you've enjoyed yourselves coming along with us, and we'll see you next year for Friends of the Farmer Ride 2026.
See you next year.